Today's world, application are the backbone of every business. If we talk about maybe Atta Chakki in here in India, we have the app for even that as well. Okay, it is for me. Okay, so every business is now on the app or on the
Yes.
digital side, we can say. And since the digital presence is increasing so much, that is the reason your FI LTM is also booming the market. Not only FI, but because we are talking about FI, so I will be going to talk about FI. Why? So very first thing, maybe I'm just because you are aware about it, so I'm just generally talking. So if we talk about application availability, right? So that is the very first work of any load balancer. And since this is an ADC, application delivery controller, which is an load balancer also, one of the work. So it provide the application availability or resiliency, we can say. So problem can be single point of failure, right? So if we have only one server available, for sure, if users are using these services from this server, and if this server fails, everything gets failed. This server can overload. Some unexpected outage can cripple the application. Maybe lot of revenue can be lost, damaged reputation, or user will be get frustrated if such thing happens. So here the LTM solution distribute the traffic, as I told you, for any of the load balancer if we talk about, and here because it is LTM, it will distribute the traffic among the servers. So I am just creating two, but there can be more than that. If there are maybe 1, 2, 3, whatever, okay, it will just distribute the traffic, perform the continuous health checks, automatically fail over to the healthy servers, ensuring maybe we can say 24/7 application. Okay, so during maybe peak load or server failures, it will just see that my application should be always up, right?
So
So that is the
one
main.
question.
Go ahead.
ADC is I recently used in the Fortinet firewall. Fortinet ADC application controller.
Application delivery controller.
Yeah.
Yes. In load like F5, we used to say F5 LTM, we used to say is as ADC, application
Okay.
delivery controller.
Okay.
And like if we are talking about GTM, right? So GTM new name is F5 DNS. So DNS, intelligent DNS solution, right? Similarly, ASM. ASM is advanced web. So bit like that, maybe, we have different names.
Yeah.
So we used to call it as ADC.
Okay. It
So
means
I'm just,
nowadays ADC is the LTM load balancer.
so no. What I'm saying that we don't use the term as load balancer. And the reason is it's not only load balancing here. It is doing a lot of things. Like I was giving the name health checks.
Okay.
So health check, it is doing. Then iRule, you are aware about, right?
Yes, I do.
IAP, you are aware about. Then profiles, you are aware about. So all of those things, typical load balancer cannot do. Even load balancing you can do from maybe Cisco server, Cisco router also. But these kind of capabilities are not inserted or maybe inherited from this FI LTM box. That is the reason it is not only the load balancer, but it is maybe let us talk more about it. It's a good topic what you are talking. Okay, let me maybe go ahead on the same. That is looking more maybe. So let's talk about the load balancing application solution is from the Cisco. Okay. First of all, the load balancing maybe can be round robin ratio, bit like that. Very less, we can say, mechanism is available. But here, high latency can be there if it is not checking properly the server load or bit those kind of configuration. So poor response will be there, which means at the end, it will decrease the productivity. But if we are talking about LTM, then LTM for sure, F5 LTM I'm talking about, for sure can do SSL offloading, which
Mm-hmm.
maybe your device cannot be able to handle. Yeah, it can do caching, so it can cache profile if you are aware about. It can do some kind of caching. Then in earlier days, when I'm talking about earlier days, I'm talking before the SD thing, SD software defined WAN, LAN, bit like that. So in earlier days, the bandwidth was very maybe is a questionable. Still, it is there. Okay, but now because of internet connectivity, not in Middle East where you are living, but in other world I am talking about. So maximum around the world, if you talk about different companies, if you compare the MPLS and internet is really very cheap, right? As I am telling
Yes.
you, maybe Middle East is an exception. We can just ignore that. But since LTM can do the compression, so at that time, over the WAN network, we can use this compression profile. And it was one of the unique selling point to sell these devices. Getting what? So these kind of things, normal maybe router or such kind of device cannot be able to handle it. Then if you aware about TCP Express, if I'm not wrong, this is the name. So they have done the advancement of the TCP optimization or acceleration for the application delivery. They claim that their application, they also suggested the optimization to the TCP RFP team also, who created this TCP protocol. So they have utilized this protocol in such a way that it is faster in their products as compared to other vendors. Okay. So better maybe you can say response or user experience. Is this is this point clear?
Yes, clear.
Good. So that is one thing. And not only this, if I maybe talk more about it, not fully, okay, because we have different devices available for the that. But if application are the prime target for the cyber attack, they can use DDoS attack, bot attacks, web exploit. They can do the web exploitation, okay, which can lead to the data breaches or service disruption or maybe compliant violation, whatever. Now, even if you are using LTM solution, I'm not talking about ASMR. Only with LTM also act as a frontline defense or providing DDoS protection. Again,
Yeah.
not on the
Well,
very granular level, but it has the ability to integrate with advanced web to shield the application from malicious activity completely. But if we talk about only LTM, even then
yeah.
it
In
yeah,
LTM, I in last I solution deployed LTM with WAF. It's a better because some internal person may attack on the application, same like this. That's why we are using LTM with WAF.
true,
Can I, right?
true. Yes, you are perfectly right. See, later on when our WAF class will start, you will understand that it is the same box. Okay. In the same box, there is LTM, there is ASM. For
Yeah.
sure, this is ADC, this is advanced web solution.
Yeah.
But just for the sake of communication, I am talking about LTM and ASM. So let
Yeah.
us say from the client side, okay, there are some clients sitting over there, maybe any client. Okay, so here is the clients, and they are coming from maybe outside or howsoever, and then there is a firewall, okay, solution in your network, which is already in take place. So firewall is not able to check or validate each and every layer 7 attack. Okay. Let us say that attack is now entering to your environment. Okay. This is your environment. Now on LTM, we will apply some kind of security policy within which in turns tune with your local traffic policy, which I will be gonna describe about it. Don't worry. So it will invoke ASM security policy. And let us say you are checking your ASM security policy in a good manner. If that is the case, if it is a properly tuned policy, okay, in the blocking mode and everything is up to mark, then this attack will be get blocked over here. It won't be gonna go to your backend pool member. Let us say these are the server form. Okay. So it will not go to your server form.
Mm-hmm.
So this attack will be stopped at the ASM. So that is how your traffic may be secure. Getting my point?
Yeah,
Kasim?
getting. Yeah.
But I'm not talking about ASM currently because we are on LTM. So what I was saying is, like, if something is coming on your LTM, let us say I don't have the ASM, only LTM. And after LTM, there can be for sure, there can be some servers, right? Or server form can be. Now, even in LTM, it will check couple of the things like SYN flood. It can check, okay, whether an attacker is bombarding with a server with SYN request without, completing the three-way handshake.
Mm-hmm.
So the F5 LTM use techniques like a SYN cookies. Okay, it will use like SYN cookies. I will not go into the depth today, but just telling you. So instead of allocating the resource to every incoming SYN request, it sends back a specially crafted SYN-ACK, okay, containing the cookie that encode the connection information to the client. It only allocates the resources and complete the connection if client will respond with that valid ACK, which means if client will prove that that is a legitimate client. Getting my point?
Can you please repeat again? I just when the someone's sending a sync flooding in LTM using the sync
So
cookies.
it is sending SYN.
Yeah.
Okay. LTM is saying that okay, if you are sending so many SYN,
Mm-hmm.
I am sending you SYN with my some cookies.
Okay.
Okay. And in this cookies contain some or it is encoded with some connection information.
Okay.
If this is a legitimate client, it will come with that cookie and will take that information. Okay.
Okay.
If it failed to do that, it means it is an invalid request, illegitimate request,
Okay.
and LTM will drop all the requests, will not allocate any of the resource.
I
And
got
for
your
sure,
point.
your traffic will not go to the pool
Yeah.
map. Okay?
Yeah. Got to the point.
Yeah. Then there can be something like, if you heard about, we can put some kind of connection rate limits.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So what does that mean? That if some connections are coming, maybe from the single IP or maybe on the virtual server, you can apply maybe depending upon different configuration. So let us say you are applying CPS, that is connections per second.
Mm-hmm.
So how many number of new connections can or concurrent connection from a single source IP address or a virtual server or globally, how many connections should be coming? If the connection limit is increasing, it means there is something wrong, and those new connections won't get entertained, or again, the resources will not be get allocated.
One
Getting my point?
question. Yeah. This get it will discard the packet when getting the connection from the same IP or the same
That
MAC.
depend upon your configuration. If you are putting this limit on the IP based, yes, it will. Okay, but we cannot do it on the MAC basis because as like it is a simple thing. Like let us say this is your device is going to one router, another router, third router, then on maybe on the firewall, okay, and then maybe on LTM. I'm just giving one example. So MAC will always change. Here source MAC is this,
Yeah. Yeah.
this will be destination MAC. Okay,
Yeah.
then it will become source, it will become destination.
Yeah.
Source, destination, source, destination, source, destination. So
At the
MAC
end,
will all,
LTM get the firewall MAC.
yeah, always. Okay, so
Yeah.
it is not MAC based. It will be, it can be IP based. Okay, or you can put it on the virtual server setting globally. Like
Mm.
on my virtual server, application team will say that, okay, I know my user database. My user database, total user database is 10,000, let us say, just for an example. And if all of them are coming, my maximum request can be 10,000 only, right? So even 10,000 concurrent sessions will be also included, let us say 20,000. Okay. Although it is not possible. It is bit like you have the roads, right? And you have 10 houses, right? All the 10 houses has 10 cars, but it never possible, very, very limited, chances that all the 10 cars coming in one go.
On the road.
So, yeah, yeah. So, same way, same way. It's 20,000, let us say, we are putting the capping over here, limit.
Okay.
So, in that way, if my sessions, somebody is sending maybe, some kind of attack. So, this connection limit is increasing to 1 lakh, and I don't have that CPS configured. My LTM will get tagged. Yeah. Or if LTM is not there, only server is there. So server will, try to respond to every request, but these are the
Mm.
fake requests. So my server will overburden, will get collapse or whatever.
Yeah.
But if LTM is there and I am putting some kind of connection limit, if more connections are coming, maybe it will just drop. It will say, no, buddy, I cannot enter.
Okay.
Getting my buddy.
Yeah, good.
So that is how it can entertain like that. Not only this, if you are aware, because you already worked on it. So let us say it is my LTM. This is my simple connection coming to the LTM. From LTM, let us say it is going to the server. Okay. I am just ignoring all the devices which will come in between. I am just considering a logical
Yes.
topology. So here, if I talk about LTM, LTM will maintain a connection table.
Yes.
Okay, always it will maintain a connection table. So it is LTM TMOS kernel efficiency that it owns a high capacity connection table. It employs adaptive reaping technique to aggressively clear out the idle or maybe invalid connections. So it will free up the resource faster than standard operating systems. Similarly, if somebody is sending maybe UDP, UDP, which is connectionless for sure, flood protection. So can be provided by your LTM. So it is connectionless, but LTM can identify and mitigate UDP flood by dropping the UDP packet that don't match a defined virtual server or by applying the rate limit to the UDP traffic. Okay. So there are a lot of things like with what we can maybe make our settings more robust with respect to the security. Any question?
No, still here. Okay.
Right. So I hope you have heard about IAP.
Yeah. I
So
have.
right here, bit like automation tool chain also we can use in the FILTN solution. If there are lot of dozens of you know uh, maybe configuration is coming back and forth, you can use that. Okay,
In
but
I have
generally
such we have a templates we are using, right?
correct. Yes.
Because I worked on LTM or GTM 3 years ago. That's why I
Not an
forget a
issue.
lot of
Not an
things.
issue. I'm just telling you. I'm just telling you that I'm just refreshing your knowledge that
Hmm.
in LTM we can put some of the I rules, something named as I rules. Okay, what I rule is really very powerful tool. Like I rule means there is a language named as Perl. Okay, Perl based you will write down some syntaxes and you can change the device default behavior. So every device has some default behavior. Let us
Can you
say
please repeat again? This
yeah,
is.
I'm just giving you an example. Okay, with example you will understand. Let us say there are two users. One user is from China. One user is from maybe let us say Europe. Okay. Now there is a request from the Chinese users that okay, when my when my client from the China country is coming to the application, okay, it should go to the maybe server one, and server one is responding in the Chinese language. Okay,
Mhm,
for rest of the world, I wanted to go to the server two, which is simple English language.
mhm,
Okay, so because I have a greater revenue from China, I will say that, okay, I can do that. Wow. Now, on this virtual server, I will create some kind of the, the object which is named as iRule. Okay, this is Perl based. Perl is a language. Perl based, using that syntax, you will use maybe some line of codes. Okay, you will write down a code, and in the
mhm,
code we can just compare that. Okay, if because whenever something will come from China users, it will not come from the private range. It will come from the public IP. So there should be some IP pool allocated to the China region. So if something is coming from the China region, on the basis of the IP, I can check. I can say that okay, it should go to the server one. Else, which means for rest of the world, I can say that okay, let's go to the server two. So
how
it's
can we
not
check this IP is coming from China? Because
there is a okay.
because we
So
know the
that is
prefix
a
is.
that is a networking stuff, but that's all right. So have you heard about RIR, LIR, those kind of stuff? RIR, LIR.
RIR.
Let me show you. LIR diagram, like
Yeah, ripe I
ethnic.
seen. Yeah, ethnic and rice.
You are aware about these
Yes.
terms, yeah? So RIPE
Yes.
is for whom? RIPE is for your Europe. Ethnic is for what? Ethnic is for
Nation.
your yeah. So bit like that. See, here is the diagram. So now these people are allocating the IP addresses based on the region, right?
Yeah.
So let us say if we talk about ethnic, that is in the red. So
Mm-hmm.
ethnic is allocating some kind of IP addresses which is in the China only. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So anybody who is registering or owning the IP, they need to register that entry to the ethnic.
Yeah, I got your point.
So depending upon that database, we can check. Getting my point?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because we are not able to come through the private IP. No? It should be the public IP. And public IP is traceable. We can trace. Okay. So in summary, F5 LTM is for sure market leader because it deliver a comprehensive, highly flexible, high performance platform.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it addresses the fundamental requirement of modern application. Either we talk about availability, performance, security, whatever. So digital world, for digital world, FILTM is required. Any question, Kasim, or any views from your side, please?
No, till okay.
Okay, great. So, what we can discuss about the packet flow because you are already aware about this thing. Let's talk about the packet flow. Let's start from somewhere. Okay. So, if we talk about packet flow, again, I am talking about
Client.
logical, topology here. In between, there will be n number of devices, but I am just talking about the three, stuff. One is my client. It is my client, and then F5, and then server. So maybe let's take some 192. 168.1.100 maybe. Okay. So I am just taking some IP address. Let's leave the point that either it is a virtual, either it is a private or a public. Let's consider everything is, reachable. Routing is not an issue.
Hmm.
So I want to be going on to the routing part. I am just trying to tell you how this communication is. Okay. I'll maybe take some value over here. Fine. So very first thing, if I talk about this packet flow, I will divide it into some phases. So very first phase is phase one, where client will interact to F5. And we can say it as client side connection. Okay. So client side connection means client as a client, it will open a web browser. Okay. And maybe put some kind of application, in our case, let us
URL
say
anything.
xyz.com, which is hosted on this server.
Hmm.
Okay. XYZ. Then for sure the DNS regulation and everything will happen. I am not going into the DNS currently, otherwise it will be more complex. So let us say this IP came. When IP become, you have the IP address available, then for sure in the last there would be a packet which will get created at layer 3. Again, I am not coming to that packet level, but we will be having source IP, and the source IP will be 192.168.1.100. For sure, it will be using some kind of port. It will be a random port. I am just using 1, 2, 3. Then in the packet, you will create a destination IP. In our case, it will be a virtual server IP. Okay, because it will resolve xyz.com,
Hmm.
resolve the virtual server. Okay, so virtual server IP is 10, 10, 10, 10, and just ignore the security for now because we don't go on the plain text or portating. We used to have it 443, but let us suppose it is working on legacy environment for testing base. We are doing some testing and it is 10, 10, 10, 80. This is very, in the phase one, this is the very first step. I hope you are with me currently. Any
Yes.
questions? No? Okay. Second, F5 will receive the SYN. Okay. So when this communication happens, HTTP communication, you are aware that underneath it will be a TCP. And since it is, by the way, currently this situation is changed in case of quick protocol. Okay. HTTP based communication works on UDP also. Okay. But I am not going into that. You can check it later on. Quick protocol, Google based, or maybe during our ASM class, I will explain that it underneath work on UDP. But that's fine. Let's come back. So F5 will receive the SYN packet on its, it should be external, right? So for F5, there are some ports. Now I need to explain about that first, because if you are not aware, or maybe if you forget, I need to tell. So F5 can have some ports like this. Let us say this is F51, this is F52. This port is for your HA, which means when I'm saying for port, it means I'm talking about VLAN. And when some traffic is coming from the client side, we generally used to say this is an external VLAN. And the leg which is going toward the server form, we used to say this is an internal VLAN. And for sure, if you want to take the management of it, there is a management port. So for sure, there is 1, 2, 3, 4. These 4 legs can be there. Is this point clear to you, Kasim?
Yes.
And if you check our topology, this is our F5. In F5, you can see there are 4 legs, right? So these 4 legs are respectively for your management, external, internal, and HA traffic. Okay?
Mhm.
We will be going to talk about this topology maybe later on. Currently, we are just talking as an introduction class. Okay? So let's come back to the packet flow. First in the phase 1, step 1, I already talked about your source IP, destination IP kind of stuff. In step 2, I was explaining that F5 will receive a SYN packet on its external VLAN. And for sure, on external VLAN, when I'm saying there should be a self IP configured over there. Okay, for this external VLAN, there should be some self IP configured over there. If you are not aware about it, maybe then I need to explain. But because you are aware about a couple of the things, I am
Yeah, I
just
know
touching
the
up.
self IP, floating
Uh,
IP.
right. So self IP is bit like layer 3 information. Okay,
Mhm.
layer 3 VLAN, you can say. So when the packet will come over here, the traffic TMM, TMM, which is traffic management microkernel process this incoming packet. Okay. Then your packet will go on the step number 3. And it will check that either there is some virtual server match is available or no. So this is your TMM, which will check its configuration for the virtual server that either it match the destination IP address or the port of the incoming packet or not. If the match is found, only then the connection is handed off to the virtual server. Otherwise, it will get discarded. So far, any question?
Yeah, TMM is traffic management.
This is no. This is traffic management microkernel.
Okay, okay, got it.
Okay. Yeah. So, uh, fourth point. Client side, there can be client side profiles, or there can be some I rules what you applied over this. So there can be a lot of profiles. Okay. There can be some kind of I rules. There can be some kind of SSL decryption or maybe blah, 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 whatever. So when traffic will terminate, F5 terminate the client side TCP connection, it will respond with your SYN, okay, to the client. I'm just talking about phase 1 currently. Huh? And it will try to complete the TCP three-way handshake. If there is any client-side profile associated with your virtual server, it will check that and will do accordingly, like as I am telling you, the SSL decryption profile or whatever. And if there are some I rules attached to the virtual server, that will also get invoked, that will get evaluated, that will get executed. Okay. And maybe let us say we need to inspect it, we need to modify the header, we need to redirect the traffic, we need to make some custom load balancing decision, whatever. Okay. Those things will be taken care in the fourth step. Again, I am in the phase 1. I hope you are with me currently.
Uh,
Yes or no?
One question.
Okay.
The
Go ahead.
client will send first the sync message. Okay. In
Right.
the step 2, F5 check with the external self IP. They will send the if the virtual server is match, the F5 will send
Virtual
the
server match will be gonna check in the step number 3.
yeah, when the virtual server match, then F5 will send the sync acknowledge.
See,
Then
in
client will send the acknowledgement.
acknowledgement. So on the point number 4, this TCP handshake is done.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
Then point number 5, because this is done. Now client will send the GET request. Okay.
Yeah.
And in the point number 6, because everything is checked on the point number 4, LTM will receive the full HTTP request if there is an HTTP profile to perform some kind of HTTP specification optimization or something, manipulation, compression, caching, it will take care for that. Any question
Mm,
so far
At the
in
step
phase 1?
5, at the step 5,
Step 5, client will send it to the F5.
okay,
Okay.
request,
Get,
get the
get
request
request.
from the F5.
No. Client is sending the get request, or let me write down HTTP get request
Okay, okay,
to F
to
to
F5.
F5.
Okay,
Okay. And then F5 process the HTTP request.
okay, okay,
Like HTTP based profile will be gonna check now. In step
okay.
4, it was checking the like client side
Secure
profile
your client
or
side
maybe I
parameters.
room.
Okay,
Yeah. Right. In
right.
step 6, it will check the. See, these are the interview questions, but today, like, we are going in some other mode. Let us say, let's continue with it.
Yeah, because
It is,
that's why I forget
it is,
something.
it is, it is, advanced. It is
Yeah,
very advanced.
yeah,
But let's continue with it. I
because
hope it
when
is
I work
interesting for you.
when I work on 2 or 3 years before, it's not too much advanced in F5. No, the
Yeah.
F5 is advanced.
No. F5 was advanced from the start. It depends. Like we generally, do a very less thing. We generally do create some kind of I rule, some virtual server tools, and that's it.
Yeah.
Very basic stuff. But underneath what is happening, how it is happening, generally we ignore that. Okay. So far, any question?
No.
Is it good?
Yes.
Let's move to the phase 2 then. I need to cut this video from the YouTube till phase 1 is okay. Otherwise, everything get out. Okay. Let's move to the phase 2. So in phase 2, we already reached to the point number 6. Maybe let me go to the point number 7 now. Okay. There is something named as persistence profile, and again, you are aware about it. So
Yes.
I am
Persistent
I am
profile
talking about
mean.
persistence. Okay.
Yeah.
So persistence will get checked. So if your persistence profile is configured, maybe source IP persistence, cookies-based persistence, the client has the prior persistence connection. And the F5 check its persistence table. Okay. If there is a match found, the connection will be directed to the previously selected pool member. Getting my point?
Please repeat again.
Point number 8. Load balancing decision. Okay. Now I
Yeah.
am on phase number 2.
Yeah. Okay.
Let us say if there is no persistence and this is your F5 and F5 has couple of the servers available. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Now, if there is no persistence profile is available, F5 will check depending upon its load balancing mechanism. Okay, there a lot of things come into the picture, like priority group activation is one thing which will also come into the picture. So that may be like your DC or DR scenario, but your load balancing decision will be made. It will get checked that okay, uh, depending upon maybe load balancing mechanism, it can be your round robin, it can be
Yeah.
your
Least
ratio,
connection,
it can be
ratio
your
base.
dynamic. Yeah, it can be your dynamic like least connection. Okay, you least sessions or maybe any. So depending upon that, you are for sure here health monitor also put a very health monitors are
It
also
monitor the health.
play a very important role. So it will check that either the health of my available pool member is good or no. Okay. If everything is fine in phase 2, load balancing mechanism, depending upon that, load balancing decision will be done. Any question?
No, it's okay.
Then in the phase 2 only, I am talking about SNet filter,
Yeah, SNet, DNet.
which is your source network address translation. So
Mhm.
before sending the packet to the backend pool member, okay, let me maybe configure again that this is LTM, this is my client, this is my pool member
Server.
or server. So when this request will go from the LTM to the server, LTM will say, this is my source IP, okay, the self IP
Source
of
IP
my
is the
TCP.
virtual server IP, right? No.
No, the this exiting, interface IP. So
Okay.
generally it
Self
is
IP means
internal self IP and the preference given to the
floating.
floating. Okay. So generally it is floating internal self IP.
Mhm.
So your self IP will get changed. So from here to here, if I talk about this is my source IP, this is my destination IP. This source IP is client IP. This destination IP is virtual server.
PSIP. Yeah.
From here to here, the source IP is changed to your internal
Floating
self
IP. Yeah.
IP, and destination will be your
Server IP.
backend pool member. I can say pool member IP. Getting my point?
Yes.
So this is your ninth step. Then in the 10th step, again I am on the phase 2 only. In the 10th step, the F5 will create or send a TCP connection to the desired, whatever, maybe if you have 3 pool members, whatever pool member you have selected in the load balancing mechanism, you will try to initiate a fresh or new independent TCP connection to the chosen server on the same port. It sends a SYN packet to the backend server, acting as the client server stuff again. And if there is any server side profile, like server SSL profile, the encryption, basically, then that is also applied on the connection and phase 2 completed. Any question?
No, it's okay.
Is there any question?
No, no, from my side.
Fine.
Yes.
Okay, great. Let's go further. Now, these phases are very simple. Phase 3, because now most of the work is done, or I can say in the 11th point, okay, server will process that request and server will send that request to the L.
F LTM.
Okay. So the backend server receive whatever the get request from the F5. It will process that request, send the response, and here if everything is fine, you will get 200 OK, and the body and HTTP body and whatever. Then your phase 4 started. In the phase 4 or maybe on the 12th point, I can say F5 server receive this response. Okay. Server is in the phase 3, server is doing the stuff. In phase 4, F5 will receive it. And when F5 is receiving, it will receive on the same server side VLAN. And again, if there is some SSL based, profile is available, it will do that stuff, re-encryption or de-encryption, whatever. If there is HTTP profile is occurring, maybe for the compression or whatever, it will check that. And in the last point, that is 13th point, F5 will respond this connection to the client. Okay.
So
And
in
while
I
sending this to the client, it will again change the IP addresses to the original client side connection, and it will send the response back to the client with original client IP destination and use the SSL encryption before sending back to the client. And this
okay.
is somewhat is named as full proxy
Mhm.
architecture. Please go ahead.
Uh,
You are asking some question.
at the point number 12, 13. We can ask this point number 3, DNet, right?
No, it's not DNet.
Okay.
It is like we are converting it again. I will explain about the DNet in a moment, but this is like we are making or we are changing the IP address again. Okay.
Oh.
Now let's come to the source net and destination net because you are asking that. Let
No,
me
I just
do.
have a little bit confusion. That's why I'm asking.
It's all right. Let me just put. Let us say this is F5, this is a server and client. Again, I am using some IP 1.1. It is 10.10.1.1. It is 172.16.1.1. It is 172.16.1.2. Any IP address. First, I will gonna talk about DNet. So you are not applying any setting. The source will be 192.168.1.1. Destination will be 10.10. Then here the source will be 192.168.1.1. But destination is changed to 172.16.1.2. This is your DNet. Then I am talking about SNet. In case of SNet, source again 192.168.
This one is same.
It is 10.10.1.1. It is 172.16.1.1, and it will be gonna change to 172.16.1. In this case, your source is also changed, destination is also changed, but in the upper case, only destination is getting changed.
It means source NAS is better.
This you will get clarified when I will teach you about the source net topic.
Okay, got it.
Okay?
Yeah.
But any question? Is there any question?
No, not yet.
No question?
No. Let Imran, you have any question?
Sorry?
Imran, also there.
Oh, Imran. Okay. Hey, Imran, how are you?
Good, sir. Thank you.
So when you joined, sorry, I didn't
Sir,
look on the participants.
अभी एक मिनट पहले ही सर.
Okay. You missed the show then.
जी sir.
You
There's a
missed
lot
the
of
show.
discussion.
We had a very good discussion today. Huh? We were talking about a lot of stuff. Okay.
जी.
So because Kasim is also a working professional and he is already worked upon this LTM device. So today our discussion is started from some advanced level, not from the basic level. I was thinking that there would be people who are not having the enough knowledge, so I need to start it from the scratch. But somehow discussion went into a good mode.
Did you discuss one arm, two arm deployment?
No, it's later.
One arm, two arm, I
It's a
haven't
deployment
discussed.
method.
But if you want to discuss that, let's move to that.
No.
Okay?
I'm not saying, sir. I'm just saying like that.
No, that's fine. See, even he is also working professional, so already worked upon LTM, so he will understand. Okay? So we can go on to that. If you have any doubt, maybe any specific doubt, I can clear that as well.
No, sir.
So you wanted to go for one arm, two arm?
अब to other participants, sir. पूछना सबसे.
No, he's okay. So, Kasim?
Yes, proceed, no issue. It's a deployment phase. No.
It is only deployment, yes. So what happened is, let us say this is LTM. Okay. These are your clients. The clients are coming from maybe internet or SD-WAN, howsoever. It will then go to your router, internet router or MPLS router or whatever, SD-WAN router. Then the request will go to the firewall. For sure, there should be some firewall solution into your project. Okay. And after firewall, this will go to the LTM. After LTM, it will move to the ASM. Okay. After ASM, it will go to the server. And as I told you, generally, these two devices, what
Is
I am
same.
showing you, it is logically two, but physically it is same. Okay, under the same FI box, we can configure them. We can license them, or we can use those features for sure. Okay, so that is how your communication happens. But as in different deployment mode, when we are talking about LTM, in LTM, there can be some scenarios that people wanted to inspect incoming traffic and outgoing traffic both. I am talking about use case. Okay. So in that scenario, the traffic from the client, let us say this is client is sending traffic to the firewall. From firewall, this traffic is going to the LTM. LTM will send back this traffic to the firewall again, maybe due to some compliance, due to n number of reasons. And then from firewall, it is going to the server form. Let us say this is your server 1, this is your server 2. So how my traffic is moving? This is my incoming traffic, and then this is going towards the server. Okay, and then server is sending back to the LTM, and then again from the firewall by outgoing traffic is going. So here, if you see, it is bit like your collapsed core, a topology in Cisco, right? So this type of deployment model is named as one arm or single node or whatever you want, single arm or whatever you want. And I have talked about the same topology to you about the two arm before some time, Kasi. If you're aware, when I was talking about the four arms, right? That one arm is for your external VLAN,
Yes.
one is for your internal, which
Internal
is going towards the
management
server, right?
and
Then if you have two F5s, for sure it will be your management, and for sure if you need to take HA, okay, and for sure for management you should have one arm. So when you have such kind of topology into your environment, okay, you have separate traffic for the external and internal traffic. This is something named as two-arm deployment or dual arm mode, bit like that. Okay. Imran, is that fine for you?
Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So that is what we were discussing. But that's fine. In case of deployment model, because we are talking about deployment model, so I can discuss some points like you can go with hardware solution. And I don't know if you people have heard about R series or no. Currently, they have launched R series. So all that I series,
yeah.
Duprion kind of
The
stuff is
latest
now
model is
obsolete.
1000 series or
Correct. So that is obsolete.
1059. Yeah.
Correct. Correct. Now they are using everything that Kubernetes or those kind of stuff. See, if I will talk about underneath, if like earlier you deployed the virtual editions on some kind of hypervisor, VMware, maybe Hyper-V, maybe KVM or whatever, AWS, Azure, GCP on the cloud, whatever. But now what they are saying that even the underlying hardware should be, from F5. So R series is such a platform which is using that Kubernetes kind of services. Okay. And on the same hardware, you can deploy different devices. Maybe. Are you getting my point? So it is bit like you are not using some Dell server or some other server. You are using the R series as a underlying server as well. And on the top, you are using these different VMs. So this is bit like a more, I will say, volatile solution from F5. Well played by F5 vendor because everybody wanted to sell something in to their users. So that is how we are using this R series.
In
Okay.
R series inside the box, they are Kubernetes or something like this one.
Sorry.
In R series, hardware. Inside they have built-in Kubernetes or something like this one.
Yes. So, see, F5R series is the next generation hardware as per them. Okay, designed for the high performance, again, application delivery, security, blah, blah, blah. But if you talk about the core philosophy or the design principles, like build from the ground up or to the support this architecture, they are using some microservices, API calls or whatever, or the Kubernetes, whatever we say. So they need not to, like you need not to jump for different hardware platforms to troubleshoot some.
Yes.
Now, underneath is also F5. So that is how like it will interact with your TMOS enhancement in a better way, we can say.
Yeah, because when I work on I series, I didn't see the F5 VPN client. Now I am looking at F5 client on in this F5 device.
Can you repeat again, please?
Same like in 14 at client in Palo Alto Global Protect.
Mhm.
Now I see in the F5 they are using big IP client for VPN.
They are using what? Big IP client,
Yeah, VPN.
VPN. Okay.
Yeah, for any connectivity. I mean, I am me working from home. Me working
So
from home.
you are talking about APM.
Yeah, APM or a VPN. I didn't understand about this one.
Yeah, right. So APM solution is for that, right? So APM I am not aware of. Okay. But yeah, LTM, GTM, ASM, I do teach all of these technologies. Yeah. What I was saying that F5R series utilize your open source Kubernetes distribution named as K3S or Kubernetes distribution. It is. So underlying
T3S,
K3S. Have you heard
K3S.
about
Okay.
K3?
No, I.
K3. So it is a Kubernetes distribution series, which
Okay.
means underlying control plane of the application management and the resource allocation work on this K3s,
Okay.
Kubernetes. Okay. Perfect. So if there are any doubts or any questions, you are free to ask. Imran, you also. Okay. If not, maybe we are good to wrap it up for today.